Well, shifting our focus to Ukraine now, where the battlefield is still raging. On Tuesday, Russia launched a fresh wave of attacks, while Ukraine reported 60 clashes along the front lines. That's in Donetsk, Zaporizhia and Kharkiv. Moscow claimed victories, with its troops capturing another settlement called Yasenov. But even as fresh attacks take place, behind the scenes, something else was at play. A secret deal that only a few knew about. Well, allow me to explain in a few moments from now. On Tuesday, Russia freed an American teacher, Marc Fogel, from detention. Fogle is a teacher who was arrested on charges of bringing medical marijuana into Russia in August 2021. He was released by the Kremlin on Tuesday and brought to the White House. Once he arrived back in the United States of America, an American flag was draped around his neck. As he emerged from a black car, U.S. President Donald Trump waiting to greet him. Fogle was clearly very emotional as he told Trump just how grateful he was to him for securing his release.
The luckiest man on earth right now. And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero. These men that came from the diplomatic service are heroes.
The release of Fogle, who had been detained in Russia since August 2021, came as Trump seeks to improve ties with Russia. Fogle, who had been serving a 14-year imprisonment for drug smuggling, was overlooked in previous prisoner swaps. And now, after more than 3 years in a Russian prison, he has been freed. According to reports, this is an effort led by Trump. Trump has said that Fogle's release could be a big, important part of ending the Ukraine war. He thinks Fogle's release will show goodwill on Russia's part in terms of the war in Ukraine. Well, White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said, and I'm quoting him here, President Trump, Steve Witkoff and the president's advisors negotiated an exchange that serves as a show of good faith from the Russians and a sign that we are moving in the right direction to end the brutal and terrible war in Ukraine, unquote. In fact, Trump and Fogle both thanked Russian President Vladimir Putin for his release. Trump also said another person would be released on Wednesday without identifying who it would be. But the question right now is all this just about the Ukraine war? Was it really goodwill? Or is there something more? You see, the Moscow arrival of Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff's private jet was spotted earlier on Tuesday on flight radar apps. But the White House declined to comment for hours. Russia had also insisted that it was a technical flight of a sanitary nature. But as soon as the plane left Russia with Fogle on board, the White House confirmed his release. Here's why all this matters. White House envoy Witkoff's trip to Moscow and the release of the detained American, they are a major breakthrough in U.S.-Russia ties. They have been almost completely frozen for the past few years. The last visit by a senior U.S. official in Moscow was in 2021. That's when then CIA Director Bill Burns met Russian President Vladimir Putin and warned him not to send troops to Ukraine. Additionally, this also comes as Trump is working on launching diplomatic talks to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. Here's why this whole episode is intriguing. On Tuesday, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that he had no knowledge of claims suggesting Witkoff's visit to Moscow. Peskov had told reporters that no meetings with him were planned. A day later, that is today, Kremlin has said that a Russian citizen was freed from a U.S. prison in exchange for Moscow's release of Marc Fogel. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that the Russian citizen will return home in the coming days, at which point Moscow will then release their name. Commenting on Trump's remark that this could perhaps help end the war, Peskov said it was unlikely to be a turning point, but described the releases as gradual steps to increase mutual trust. currently at a low point between Washington, D.C. and Moscow. And then there's the bigger question. What did U.S. offer in return? Asked what the United States gave up in exchange for Fogle, Trump told reporters earlier, not much. He called the release a show of good faith from the Russians. Could that be it? What did Washington offer in return for Fogle's release? Well, no one will say. What's the real deal? What did Witkoff discuss with the Kremlin officials? Trump administration claims this prisoner release is a step towards peace. But the timing raises more questions than answers. Has Trump opened a new back channel with Moscow, especially with the Munich Security Conference just days away, where Trump's team is expected to discuss their strategy for ending the Ukraine war? Fogle's release may just be the beginning of a much larger diplomatic game. But who holds the winning hand? Is it Washington or Moscow? That only time will tell.